So good morning, everyone. Now, in the last lecture, we have studied about the common mode rejection ratio. What is the definition of common mode rejection ratio and the fundamental of how can we improve the value of constant current source, which is being connected in case of emitter resistance, which is to be connected at the emitter terminal of transistor number 1 and 2. And some different methods for improving the value of common mode rejection ratio. Are you getting my voice now? So today in lecture number 3, we are going to discuss about the basic definition of operational amplifier, symbol of operational amplifier and pin configuration. Next topic related to unit number 1, lecture number 3 will be different parameters of operational amplifier and the block diagram representation of op amp. So these are the topics which we are going to cover in today's lecture. So starting with the fundamental of operational amplifier. So operational amplifier is also known as op amp. At first, or if we go to the history of the operational amplifier, it came in existence in the year of 1940, and the first operational amplifier was designed in the year of 1948. On that time, the operational amplifier was basically used in analog computers. And in analog computers, the basic work of the operational amplifier was some mathematical operation like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And due to performing these kinds of the operation, the name of the circuit is known as operational amplifier. And the first circuit was based on vacuum tubes. Now, in the year in between 1964 to 68, one researcher was there, J. Wilder. They designed the first operational IC 741. And that IC was designed with the help of BJT and FET. So the amplifier which we are using nowadays, that was by Robert J. Wilder, residing in Fairchild. So operational amplifier is a 8-pin IC. It can also be designed with the help of 14-pin, but basically operational amplifier which we use commercially and in the laboratory is of 8 pins. And the different 8 pins of the operational amplifier is pin number 1 and pin number 5 is used for offset purpose. Let's suppose there is some error in the output signal, so that error can be compensated with the help of pin number 1 and 5. We connect one potentiometer in between pin number 1 and 5, and by varying the wiper across that potentiometer, we can easily change the value of the output. So pin number 1 and pin number 5 is used for the offset purpose. With the help of pin number 2 and pin number 3, we are giving the input signal to the operational amplifier, where pin number 2 is for giving the inverting input and pin number 3 is for giving the non-inverting input. We will see how or which kind of the input and output signal will be generated with the help of pin number 2 and 3 in the next slide. With the help of pin number 4 and this pin number 7, we give the supply voltage, DC supply voltage to the operational amplifier. And the different supply voltage which can be used in case of op amp is plus minus 9 volt, plus minus 12 volt, plus minus 15, plus minus 18 and plus minus 20 volt. These are the different kinds of the DC supply which basically we use in case of op amp. In laboratories, most of the time we use the power supply as plus minus 12 or plus minus 15 volt. With the help of pin number 6, we get the output of the op amp, and pin number 8 is not connected. there is no any kind of use of pin number 8. So whenever we use any operational amplifier in any kind of the application, we need to left open pin number 8. But due to only symmetricity of the IC, we connected here pin number 8. So these are the different pins of the operational amplifier. Left side of the figure is the symbol of the op-amp. Symbol of the op-amp is of triangular shape. So you can easily identify by seeing anywhere this kind of the figure that it's a symbol of operational amplifier. So what is basically an operational amplifier? So an operational amplifier is a direct coupled high gain amplifier which consists of one or more different differential amplifier, which is being followed by a level translator and an output displacer. And an operational amplifier is available as a single IC package. So this is a basic definition of the operational amplifier. Now talk about this pin number 2 and pin number 3. So as I told you, pin number 2 is used for the inverting input. Inverting, that means there is a phase shift of 180 degree in between input and output. So whenever this operational amplifier is being connected in inverting mode, on that condition you need to ground pin number 3. You can see from here plus sign is used for pin number 3. Why? Because it's a non-inverting input terminal of the op-amp. So in case of inverting input signal, you need to make non-inverting or positive sign pin grounded, and with the help of this negative input pin you need to apply the input signal. And V0 is connected at pin number 6. V0 is connected at pin number 6. You can see from the waveform, in case of inverting input, just inverted output we are getting at the output side, and which shows that there is a phase shift of 180 degree in between input and output. But in case of non-inverting input, negative terminal of op-amp is grounded, and with the help of positive terminal or the non-inverting input, you need to apply the input sinusoidal waveform. So whenever you are going to apply the input signal at the non-inverting terminal of the op-amp, on that condition, same output you are getting at the output terminal of op-amp. Just only there is some amplification at the output. So with some amplification, we are getting the output signal at the output terminal of the operational amplifier. But there is one difference in between input and output signal. If the signal is being applied at the inverting terminal of op-amp, then on that condition we are getting the signal at the output terminal with 180 degree phase shift. But if the signal is applied at the non-inverting terminal of op-amp, then same signal with amplified form we are getting at the output terminal of operational amplifier. This is a basic change or the basic difference in between inverting and non-inverting input terminal signal. Now the power supply. So in case of op-amp, as we know, we can use either single-ended power supply or we can use double-ended or double-sided power supply. In case of operational amplifier, in general, we are using dual power supply, not the single power supply. Dual power supply, that means here we need to use positive as well as negative power supply for giving signal to the op-amp. If we talk about the single power supply, then on that condition either there will be positive voltage source or the negative voltage source only. But whenever we are talking about the dual power supply, that means there would be positive as well as negative power signal in the circuit. In case of, as I told you, in case of operational amplifier, only dual power supply we are using, and dual power supply can be of balanced type or the unbalanced type. Balanced, that means both the positive as well as negative power supply would be same, or the value of this positive and negative power supply will be same. So if the values of the DC signal is same, that is called as balanced power supply. And in case of unbalanced, both the power supply would not be same. If positive voltage is high, so negative voltage will be low, or vice versa. So if both the power supplies are not same, then that is called as unbalanced power supply. So any kind of the power supply you can use for the design of op-amp, either You can use the balanced power supply or you may use the unbalanced power supply. So that was the basic connection diagram of the operational amplifier. Now the parameters. What different kinds of the parameters are needed for defining the operational amplifier, for analyzing the operational amplifier, for calculating the values with the help of operational amplifier. So let's discuss one by one different parameters of operational amplifier. First parameter is input offset voltage. As we know, in case of operational amplifier or in any kind of the circuit, if the value of input voltage is 0, then on that condition output voltage must be 0. If we are not sourcing any signal to the op-amp or any kind of the circuit, then the output generated with the help of that particular circuit should be 0 only. But suppose without any kind of the input signal, we are output at the output terminal of the circuit or output terminal of the op-amp. Then on that condition, what we need to do? On that condition, we need to apply some voltage or some signal for making that particular voltage is equal to 0 or that particular output voltage should be 0. Suppose with the help of any circuit, we are not sourcing any signal and at the output terminal we are getting a voltage of plus 2 volt. So if voltage is plus 2 volt is generated at the output, then for minimizing that voltage to 0 volt, what we need to do? We need to apply minus 2 volt. So if we apply minus 2 volt at the input side, on that condition output will be 0. And then only on that condition we can perform any experiment with the help of that circuit. So first thing is, for performing any application, even in case of weighing machine also, whenever we are going to perform anything or whenever we are going to weight anything, first of all we need to make the circuit in null condition. With the help of same concept, there is a fundamental of input offset voltage. It is a minimum amount of the voltage that must be applied between the two input terminals of the operational amplifier to null or 0 the output voltage. As you can see in the figure, suppose the two DC voltages which is being applied at the input terminal of op-amp is VDC1 and VDC2. And we know the value of output will be what? That is the difference of two input signal. So the value, if output voltage here is V0, then what is the value of output? VDC1 minus VDC2. So if we are getting positive voltage, then for minimizing that positive voltage to 0 or for making that voltage to nullify, we need to apply some negative voltage. As I told you. So input offset voltage is a minimum amount of the voltage which is being applied at the input terminal of op-amp to nullify the output voltage to 0. So that is the basic fundamental of input offset voltage. In ideal condition, what should be the value of this input offset voltage? That input offset voltage in ideal condition should be 0. Why? Because whatever circuit we are designing, that should be error free. If without any kind of the signal it is generating something, that simply means there is some error into the circuit. So there should not be any kind of the error present into the circuit. So in ideal condition, the value of input offset voltage must be 0. Practical condition, the input voltage is how much? 741? 6 millivolt. So 6 millivolt maximum value in case of IC 741 of the input offset voltage. Then the second parameter is input offset current. Input offset current is the difference of input current which is being applied at the inverting and non-inverting terminal of the amplifier circuit. If IB1 is first base terminal current and IB2 is second base terminal current, then the value of input offset current is IB1 minus IB2, simply the difference of two input signal, as same as input offset voltage. Maximum value of input offset current is 200 nanoampere in case of IC 741. Now the third parameter is input bias current. Input bias current is the average of the current entering the input terminal of the balanced amplifier. It is the biasing current of the operational amplifier circuit. Maximum value of input bias current is 700 nanoampere in IC 741. Then input resistance. Input resistance is an equivalent resistance that can be measured at either the inverting or non-inverting terminal with the other terminal grounded. So that is called as input resistance. So whenever we are calculating the input resistance with non-inverting terminal, then on that condition inverting terminal must be grounded. And if the input resistance is being calculated with inverting terminal, so non-inverting terminal will be grounded. The value of input resistance should be very high. In case of IC 741, its value is 2 mega ohms, or even some application up to 1000 mega ohms or in giga ohms. In ideal condition, the value of input resistance of op-amp is infinite. Why it should be infinite? Why? Because if the value of input resistance is low, that means circuit would be suffered from the loading condition. So for avoid loading, the value of input resistance must be very high. Now input capacitance. Input capacitance is an equivalent capacitance that is measured either the inverting or non-inverting terminal with other terminal is grounded, same as the input resistances. So these parameters is being calculated with respect to one of the terminal only. Typical value of input capacitance is 1.4 picofarad in IC 741. Then common mode rejection ratio already we had discussed. It is the ratio of differential mode gain to the common mode gain of the op-amp. In ideal condition, the value of this CMRR will be infinite, and in practical condition, the value of CMRR is 90 dB. And as we know, higher the value of CMRR, better the matching in between input and terminals of the op-amp. Now next parameter is supply voltage rejection ratio. Supply voltage rejection ratio is nothing but the ratio of change in input offset voltage to the corresponding change in the value of power supply. It is expressed in millivolts per volts or in decibel. And in case of IC 741, the value of SVRR is 150 microvolts per volt. Then output resistance, as per the another circuit also, the value of output resistance should be minimum. In ideal condition, that is 0, but in practical condition, the value of output resistance is 75 volt in IC 741. It is the resistance which is measured at the output terminal and ground. Then slew rate, one of the important parameter of op-amp. Slew rate is, it is the ratio of maximum change in output with respect to time. That is called as slew rate, that is denoted as dV0 by dt, where T max. So that is basically a maximum change in output with respect to time. In case of IC 741, its value is 0.5 volts per microsecond. Its unit is volt per microseconds. Now this table shows a comparison in between the ideal and practical characteristics of the operational amplifier. Let's go one by one. First is voltage gain. The voltage gain of operational amplifier should be very high in practical condition, 2 into 10 to the power 5 ohms. But in ideal condition, its value should be infinite. Why? Because operational amplifier is developed with the help of cascading of the differential amplifier, cascading of the transistors. So stage by stage, there is an amplification of the voltage. So it is being developed only for getting the amplification purpose. That's why the value of voltage should be infinite. Input resistance, in ideal condition, infinite. In practical condition, 2 mega ohms for avoid loading into the source. Output resistance, in ideal condition, 0. But in practical condition, it is 75 ohm. The value of bandwidth In ideal condition, infinite. In practical condition, in mega ohms. The value of CMRR in ideal condition, infinite. In practical condition, 90 dB. In ideal condition, infinite. In practical condition, 0.5 volts per microsecond. These practical values are for IC741. PSRR is power supply rejection ratio. Its value in ideal condition 0 and in practical condition 150 volt microvolts per volt. PSRR is also called as supply voltage rejection ratio. So PSRR is nothing but SVRR. Input offset voltage maximum 2 millivolts in practical condition. In ideal condition it should be 0. Circuit should not be needed any kind of the input offset voltage. Input bias current in ideal condition 0. But in practical condition, it should be 50 nanoampere. And input offset current, maximum 6 nanoampere in practical condition, and in ideal condition, its value should be 0. So these are the different characteristics, or we can say the parameters of the operational amplifier with practical and ideal values. Now moving further to block diagram representation of operational amplifier. This block diagram shows the internal circuitry or the internal connection by which we designed the IC741. So complete block diagram is divided into 4 different stages, where first stage is input stage, second stage is called as intermediate stage, third stage is called as buffer or level shifting stage, and fourth stage is called as output stage of the op-amp 741. Here input stage is dual input balanced output differential amplifier. The main purpose of this input stage is to provide the amplification into the circuit. Its also main purpose is to avoid loading effect into the circuit. And these criteria are fulfilled with the help of differential amplifier only. That's why the input stage is being designed with the help of dual input balanced output differential amplifier. Second stage is intermediate stage. So as input stage is being developed with the help of dual input balanced output differential amplifier, but input stage is not sufficient, only not sufficient to provide the complete amount of gain which is required for the proper operation of the circuit. So in intermediate stage, there is a cascading of the transistors, and the remaining part of the amplification which is being needed for the operation of the op-amp, that is provided with the help of this intermediate stage. In intermediate stage, we use dual input unbalanced output type of the differential amplifier. The intermediate stage is designed with the help of dual input unbalanced output of differential amplifier. One more thing is, as I told you, in intermediate stage there is a cascading of the transistors, and in cascading, whenever we are go for the cascading, either we need to use RC coupling or transformer coupling or direct coupling for coupling the different transistors. Here, in case of IC741, we are using the direct coupling for cascading the transistors. And what is the effect of that direct coupling? Due to that direct coupling, the value of amplification is so high. We are getting sufficient amount of amplification. But in which kind of the signal we are getting the amplification? AC signal as well as DC signal of the op-amp. So in case of the AC signal, our requirement is completely fulfilled by operating the operational amplifier with the help of this intermediate stage. But in case of DC, there is also amplification of the DC signal. And whenever there is a change in the value of DC, as you know, the value of operating point would be changed. And if the value of operating point will be changed, there would be the distortion into the circuit. Due to that, or due to this particular problem, which kind of problem? Change in the value of operating point of the op-amp or of the transistor, we are using third circuit stage, buffer or level shifting stage. The basic purpose of this level shifting stage is to nullify the amplification of the stage number 2. So whatever DC signal has been amplified in stage number 2, that will make at the 0 level with the help of this level shifting stage. So level shifting stage will shift the level of the DC voltage from any other voltage to 0. So that is the basic purpose of level shifting stage. Then the fourth stage is output stage. The basic purpose of output stage is to provide 0 output impedance with proper swing in output voltage and proper sourcing and sinking of the signal. These are the requirements of the output stage, and these requirements are fulfilled completely with the help of push-pull amplifier. In output stage, basically we use the push-pull amplifier, either AB or B power amplifier we may use over here. So these are the 4 different internal blocks of the IC 741. Now we will discuss one by one with the help of circuit diagram these internal blocks. So first circuit shows the connection diagram of input and intermediate stage of operational amplifier. This particular stage, this dotted block, it shows the input stage of or the first stage of IC 741. As I told you, input stage is nothing but a differential amplifier. And which kind of the differential amplifier? Dual input, balanced output differential amplifier. What is the basic purpose of this stage is to provide amplification into the circuit. To provide amplification into the circuit and to produce high input impedance for avoid loading into the source. Also at the same time, it should be provide 0 or minimum output impedance. So this is a basic requirement of the first stage. You can see from here, this circuit is 2 input signals are there. We are applying the input signal at the base terminal of transistor number 1, also as the base terminal of transistor number 2. So dual inputs are there. Also we are getting the output where? At the collector terminal of both the transistors. So which kind of differential amplifier is this one? Dual input, balanced output differential amplifier. So first stage is dual input, balanced output differential amplifier. Now second stage is what? Second stage is the cascading of transistor, and which kind of transistor we are using? It is basically a dual input, unbalanced output differential amplifier. The intermediate stage is what? Dual input, unbalanced output of the differential amplifier. What is the basic purpose of this stage is to provide remaining part of the amplification which is being needed for proper operation of IC 741. So you can see from here, base terminal of transistor number 2 is connected with output terminal of stage number 1. Also base terminal of transistor number 4 is connected with output terminal of stage number 1. That means base terminal of transistor number 3 and transistor number 4 both are connected with voltage source. Both are connected with voltage source. That means dual power supply we are using. Also where we are getting the output? At one of the collector terminal of the transistor and second terminal is grounded. So which kind of circuit is this one? Dual input, unbalanced output type, the differential amplifier. So second stage is which kind of, what is the name of the second stage? Dual input, unbalanced output differential amplifier. Here RE dash is what? RE dash is a swamping resistance. Swamping resistances are the small resistances which being connected at the emitter terminal of the transistor for compensating the effect of change in temperature. For in case of whenever we are changing the value of temperature, the value of base to emitter voltage of the transistor would be changing. So for compensating the effect into the change in base to emitter voltage, we are connecting some small AC resistances at the emitter terminal of transistor. These small resistances are called as swamping resistances. So whenever we are going for the AC analysis, these small AC resistances are needed to connect into the circuit. That's why I hope you know, in case of the AC analysis of the dual input balanced output differential amplifier, I have connected two small resistances, RE dash. Those resistances are nothing but the swamping resistances for compensating the effect of changing temperature. So these are the first stage and second stage connection of the IC 741. Then the third stage. So before going to third stage, you can see from here, stage number 1 is connected with stage number 2 by direct coupling. No RC coupling, no transformer coupling. There is only direct coupling. And as I told you, in case of direct coupling, there is an amplification of AC as well as DC signal. So you can see what is the effect of change in DC voltage. So figure number A is the output with 0 DC voltage. These are the saturation limit. Suppose the value of DC supply voltage is plus minus 15 volt and maximum change in the input is peak to peak voltage is 12 volt. That means positive peak to peak 12 volt. That means in positive side maximum amplitude is 6, in negative side maximum amplitude is minus 6. Total change is plus minus 12 volt. What is the value of saturation limit? In case of plus minus 15 voltage DC, approximately 14.7 volt. In case of the germanium, in case of silicon transistor, it would be approximately 14.3 volt. 0.7 voltage is the saturation. So saturation voltage is something lower than the supply voltage. So when the signal is being transmitted with the help of DC voltage 0 or when the value of DC level is 0, so whatever signal we have provided at the input terminal of op-amp, same signal we are getting at the output terminal. There is no any kind of the distortion into the signal. Signal is perfect at the output. But what about this second figure? Figure number B. This signal is received at the output terminal of op-amp when there is a change in the value of DC signal. Suppose the value of this DC signal is 0.7 volt is higher. So from this particular point to this particular point, signal is same as the input signal. But after that, there is a clipping of the input signal. Clipping, that means whatever information was there, that will be clipped off. So this is the problem by changing the value of DC level or the operating point. Whenever there is a change in the value of DC, there would be the distortion into the output. Some part of the input signal can be maybe clipped off at the output terminal of the circuit. That's why for designing any kind of the electronic circuitry, first of all, we think make sure that there should not be any kind of the change into the value of operating point. So in case of the IC741, there was a change in the value of operating point. Why change? Because all stage number 1 and stage number 2 and whatever cascading was there, that is only due to direct coupling. And due to that direct coupling, there is a change in the value of AC as well as DC. So in third stage or level shifting stage, we need to reduce this DC level to this 0 volt. So suppose this change is of 0.7. So if change is fixed 0.7 volt, then with the help of the circuit number 1, we may compensate the value of this change into the value of DC. So this is the simplest circuit. Circuit number 1 is the simplest circuit for level shifting stage. So one by one we will see different kinds of the level shifting circuits. In circuit number 1, one transistor is there. Base to emitter voltage is denoted as VBE. Input voltage applied at the base terminal of transistor number 1 is Vn, and at the emitter terminal we are getting the output. So what is the value of output terminal? Apply one loop over here. So Vn minus VBE minus V0 is equal to 0, and from there what is the value of output? Output is equal to V in minus VBE. V in minus VBE, where V in is what? V in is AC signal, which is being applied at the base terminal of transistor. And VB is what? VB is DC voltage, 0.7. So when there is a change of 0.7 voltage only, with the help of this simple circuit, we may compensate the effect of DC voltage. We may compensate the effect of DC voltage. But suppose if the value of change in DC voltage is either 1 volt, 2 volt, 3 volt, or that is not same as 0.7. On that condition, this circuit we can't be used. Why? Because this circuit is specifically designed for compensating the DC level of only 0.7. Then for that purpose, we need to modify the circuit. We need to modify the circuit. Then for that purpose, we are moving to circuit number 2. In circuit number 2, we connect one potential divider circuit. Here, two resistances R1 and R2 are connected at the emitter terminal of transistor. And by varying the value of these resistances R1 and R2, we may change the value of the output as per our requirement. How? Let's see. Apply KVL at the base to emitter terminal of transistor number 1. Then starting from there, V in plus to minus VB. Then here minus I. The value of current is same in both the resistances R1 and R2. So I, R1 plus R2, that is equal to 0. Then from there, what is the value of I? I is equal to V in minus VB divided by this R1 plus R2. Now what is the value of output? Output we are calculating at or across this resistance R2. So V naught is equal to I into R2. Now substitute the value of I. I is what? V in minus VB divided by R1 plus R2. So from there, what is the value of output voltage? V in minus VB into R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So first of all, we have changed the value of DC voltage 0.7, but also by changing the value of these resistances R1 and R2, we may also change, change the value of DC voltage something larger than 0.7 voltage also. So this is a change we made for compensating the effect of DC voltage, amplified DC voltage. But this circuit is also we are not using. This circuit is also having some disadvantage. What is the disadvantage? Here we need to use two resistances, and if the value of DC voltage is more, amplified DC voltage is more, we need to amplify or we need to enhance the value of this resistance. Why? Because this output voltage is mostly depends on the value of this resistance. So in most of the condition, it's not suitable to enhancing the value of resistance after some predefined limits. So due to that, we moved further from these kind of the circuit to constant current source circuit. The basic fundamental which we had applied in case of compensating the effect of common mode rejection ratio. In common mode rejection ratio also, for minimizing the effect of common mode gain, we need to either enhance the value of emitter resistance or we need to connect one constant current source. By using same fundamental here also, what we are using, in place of the increasing the value of these resistances, we are using one constant current source. So circuit number 3rd is nothing but a constant current source using diode. Already we had discussed about this constant current source. So here, what is the value? What is the fundamental of constant current source? The value of this current I1 should be same as the current across the emitter terminal of this transistor number 2. Same current we are getting in this particular circuit. Whatever the current value at collector terminal of the transistor. So with the help of that, without increasing the value of the resistances over here, we may compensate the effect of increasing the resistance. So what is the value of output? Apply one KVL. What will be the path of the KVL? This one. Path will be starting from this V in by base to emitter loop, then R1, then from V0 to ground. This is the path. Apply KVL in this particular path. V in minus VBE minus I1 into R1 minus V0 is equal to 0. So from there, what is the value of V0? V0 is equal to V in minus VBE minus I1 into R1. So that is the value of output. When we are using here the constant current source for shifting the level of the DC voltage sources. But what is the problem with this circuit? Already we had discussed in case of constant current source. Here we need to use two diodes. So with the help of modifying the circuit using current mirror, we may compensate the maximum number of the components, or by reducing the components, we may use here the current mirror circuits. The fourth circuit is current mirror. We replace the constant current source with current mirror. What is current mirror? Input current is the mirror image of the output current. That is the fundamental of current mirror circuit. The lower side of the circuit is same. Already we had discussed the fundamental of this current mirror circuit. We have deduced the expression that I1 is equal to I. I1 is equal to I as per the current mirror circuit. Now what is the value of this I? I is equal to VE minus VBE divided by I. So by simply connecting one KVL loop over here, we may deduce the expression of the output. So output will be what? V in minus VBE minus I1 into R1, that is equal to output. So by changing the value of this current, or only by changing the value of this resistance, we may change the value of DC voltage. So these are the different circuits which may use in case of level shifting stage for shifting the level of amplified DC voltage, so that the circuit would operate properly without any kind of the distortion into the waveform. Now moving further to output stage. So as we discussed, in output stage, the basic requirement of this stage is there should be large output voltage and current stream. Also, the value of output impedance should be low quiescent power dissipation, and short circuit protection. These are the requirements of the output stage. And these requirements are satisfied either with the help of class AB amplifier or class B amplifier. That's why commonly in case of operational amplifier, we are using push-pull amplifier for the designing of the output stage. So here figure number A is a class B push-pull amplifier, where Q1 transistor is of NPN type and transistor number 2 is of PNP type. So when the value of Vin is greater than 0, when the value of Vin is positive, on that condition transistor number 1 will be in forward biasing condition, and when it is in forward biasing condition, with the help of this current I, we are getting the output. But when the value of input voltage is negative, when input voltage is negative, so whatever charge will be stored on that condition, voltage will transfer from this terminal to it. So it is in negative direction, or when the value of input voltage is negative, on that condition transistor number 2 is acting like a sink and transistor number 1 is acting like a source. So sourcing and sinking capability is there by connecting the circuit in class B amplifier. But what is the problem with class B amplifier? As these are the transistors, so these require some voltage for getting into the saturation condition or for proper operation. That voltage is nothing but 0.7 voltage. So whenever the input voltage is not more than 0.7 voltage, up to on that time, what is the value of output? Output is equal to 0. Similarly, in negative direction also, when the value of input voltage is not minus 0.7 in negative direction, up to on that condition, the value of output voltage is 0. That is called as what? Crossover distortion. So basically, these circuits are suffered from crossover distortion. Then how can we compensate the effect of this crossover distortion? So that can be compensated by connecting two diodes at the base terminal of the transistor. This is called as biasing source, and the value of that biasing source is twice of VD. So by connecting two diodes at the base terminal of transistor, we may compensate the effect of this crossover distortion. So these are the circuits which are used at the output terminal of the operational amplifier. So these are the different circuits or the different stages of IC 741, and here it's a complete op-amp diagram. This is input stage, then second one is an intermediate stage, third one is a level shifting stage, and fourth one a class B push-pull amplifier. So complete circuit diagram of IC 741. So this is all about the IC 741. We started with symbol, definition, pin diagram, then various parameters of IC 741, and at last the block diagram representation of op-amp. So this is all about today's lecture. If any problem, you can ask me anytime.